Hello and welcome to another edition of the Eternal Journey. I'm That Resolves, and today we're going to be taking a look at the cards from the Into Shadow, which is Vara's campaign. So I'm sure you've heard everyone who makes content doing this sort of video, either live on Twitch or on the YouTube, but I thought I would add my penny in the well here, and I'm just fully aware of the fact that content creation, for the most part, it's just background noise while you're doing other stuff. So maybe I'm just breaking the fourth wall here, but you know, just consider me Deadpool, I guess, for the day. But also lets me get my voice out there and just say what I think about these cards. And first off, we've got Signal Flare, and I've actually seen this in play in more aggressive Skycroak decks that just want more burn. And I'm talking like playing Sinceri Brigand and Mortar. They're just like, just going to burn you out. That's my plan. And Signal Flare is good. One thing I'll say about Signal Flare is that when I first saw this, I was thinking, I would wish this did 3 damage, and maybe it was just like units only, because that'd be great. Just like if you like that 5th answer to Teacher would be really good, just like playing one of these. But as it stands, I think it's fine because I don't actually want to play it against a deck that can play 8 spells that go face, just like, and just deal 3 damage, because that's really scary about trying to stabilize. Like, Coldron Cookbook's powerful, but is it as powerful as someone who's just really able to tax them, like with just so many spells? Probably not, because you're probably still dying. You've still only got 25 health unless you're gaining. So there's a couple of other things that came around Signal Flare. This is sort of a meta discussion around the actual card. And people said maybe this means this is preparing for a rotation. And yeah, that's happening. You know, set 5, as far as we all know, the world is going to change. Rotation is happening set 5. We've not been told it's not. We've not really been told it is, but you know, it's been sort of like a, well, maybe this is when it's happening. You know, just the old die-off way. I wouldn't be happy if a format staple of a 1-power removal spell was locked behind a campaign. I like it for big splashy stuff. I like it when people get invested in the game. They're just like, you know, play this game. You know, what do I get? And just go, okay, go and buy Horus Traveler. You can build Iridium Port mid-range, and you'll have a tier 1 deck, you know, for $8, whatever it is, and you can build the rest of the rares over the next week. You'll have a tier 1 deck, and then from there you can build out your collection. You know, I like that sort of conversation. When someone goes, well, so there's this staple removal spell that you need if you want to play fire, I go, sorry buddy, that's $8. We don't want Horus Traveler. You know, we want really good expansions like Dead Reckoning and Horus Traveler, which were just great. You know, Jack Bounty, $10 quarry expansion, and sometimes Passage of Aeons because you want to play one of that. But yeah, Signal Flare, I think it's good. It dealing 2, I mean, if you are having problems with small units, it's nice. You just play this as your 5th and 6th removal spell. If you can't play things like Permafrost, it's nice at just like killing Baby Icarias and the Awakened Student, just being able to kill them on the plane, save your torches for the more valuable targets like Teach of Humilities, or you know, whatever else it is, going to be bugging your Ijaport Instigator, or you can interrogate that sort of stuff. But we also do have to be careful because rotation hasn't happened yet. We don't want too many spells that deal too much damage and just are able to kill too many things. We don't have a problem like Temporal, where they're just able to play every good removal spell, like play 12 Wraths, and just play all the card draw. We don't want to have so much redundancy that you can just build like a horrendous, like, I don't know, FPS removal pile deck where nothing ever survives and your opponent just like kills you with Rizon and Akari. Just like, oh, this is the same song for the past 2 years. Brilliant. So Signal Flare, I'll see play. You know, it's good. It is a good role player card. You won't play it over Torch, but you'll play it as maybe a 5th or 6th copy. Next up, got the Cauldron Cookbook. Well, the Cauldron Cookbook. That is a tongue twister. I just love the flavour of this. Just like doing some magic, drawing some cards, I'm going to put some firebombs in my deck. So the interesting thing with this is, what I want to know is, does this interact with Face Aegis in that, because you put the firebomb in your deck, does it pop your Face Aegis or does it ignore it? That's what I want to know. That is the scientific question. If you know that, let me know, because that makes this card go a lot better if you can just put it in like some sort of Skycroak deck. But overall, I think it's probably just a little bit too expensive. It costs 5 to draw your first card. It's 8 to draw your second one. I feel like you could just do better, just play some Warp. But what this does do is give decks that actually just don't care about the life total. Just, you know, say you're playing against Temporal, and like, when they say the game's over, the game's over. It doesn't matter what your life total was. I mean, you're adding risk to your deck. But I'm sure if you've got some way where you can deal with like the fire bombs or just like not care about it. So say you're playing against like a Praxis deck that somehow gains millions of lives and you don't mind paying 5 life at some point, because it just says put it into your deck. It doesn't say like top 10 or anything like that. So it could very well be you could put like 5 fire bombs in your deck and it just never affects you. You just win the game because you're just drawing 2 cards a turn or something. Until I see someone like playing with this, I'm not really sure where I'd want to put it, but you know, it's probably good. Next up, got the Arms Enthusiast, and this is potentially quite spicy. It is a gunslinger, which is relevant. Units with the gunslinger type are just like really in favor, like for me, because it makes that gunslinger's deck just better. Probably not going to play this because it costs 4, and in the gunslinger deck you've already got like the best 4s in Stone Scar because you've got Highwayman and the Bandit Queen. But if you're maybe splashing, maybe you're playing the free faction version where you're playing Justice, Fire, and Shadow, maybe this is easier to play. You know, you play this and you play like, I don't know, hideout pistol on one of your units. That kills a thing, and now that unit that you put it on has got Berserk. That is a lot of damage. It's also a lot of setup, but maybe this would fit into something more like a Quartermaster deck where you are able to play quite a long game. And you know, you're able to draw cards with Quartermaster that'll hit you on your power drops, and you'll be able to play something like a very explosive late game turn. So, don't think this is unplayable. Don't think it's super playable, but I think it is a card with the potential just to be a little bit broken. Speaking of broken, Waystone Titan. This, my dudes, my dudettes, this is what I've been waiting for. Just like a replacement for Soulfire Drake. And I think it does the job, because Soulfire Drake is a card that is dear to my heart, but with all these Desert Marshals rolling around, it's never getting the job done. Like, Waystone Titan, even if it gets silenced, it's still just a 5/7 that is still walloping your opponent for 5 if they choose not to block it in that case. But it can also allow you to do some busted stuff, so Praxis, if you're playing a bigger version, can sometimes take a little while to get going, and then if you're able to get to a turn where you just like crack your opponent for 5 and then play another 6-drop, or just like, I don't know, 2 3-drops or something, just do really rough shape. One of your cards did enter exhausted, technically. But in the next turn, you know, you just feel really ahead, and then just every single attack, you're just getting really further and further ahead. You do want to pair this with like card draw so you can actually make the most of that power, because this isn't really like enabling you to just play fair. This is just like, you know, I'm going to hit you with this, play Wisdom of the Elders, draw 2 cards, and then just going to play them both. That's sort of where you want to be with this. But I'm also sort of interested in this, I think I was saying before, in the Divining Rod, Answer the Call style decks, just as a replacement for Soulfire Drake, because then you've got more charge effects in your deck, and you've just got more things that can just come off the top and just kill your opponent. Like, imagine this after like a Diogo Ultimate, or just like hitting this with a Divining Rod, then you just hit your opponent, get a load of power back, and then you're just able to play whatever else that you need to play for that turn. This is really powerful. I saw Bruised by God playing this in like a Sentinels deck. Sort of good. It helped the deck quite a lot because you're able to play it, and then on the next turn you're able to play like Great Kiln Titan because you're able to go up on power. Not much else to say about that, but it's a good card. Next up, we've got perhaps one of the best 2-1s for 1 in the game now, just the Iridium Restorationist. Summon, you gain 2 lives. So this will trigger all your life bar stuff. There's probably like an aggressive life force deck that would like this. You can play a little bit of a Dude Storm, because there are a lot of like cheap units in like the Catra style life force deck that would really like this effect. Just you play this with a Catra in play. This is a 3/2 for 1 at that point that gives your entire team +1/+1 and you gain 2 lives. That's pretty powerful. This is something you don't just want to put this in your deck for free. I don't think there's a Praxis or like a time-based aggressive deck, although it is worth noting that this is an Explorer, which is relevant for a card I'm going to talk about later, because in like the Dinosaur Explorer deck, just having like a cheap Explorer that does a thing, and just like, I mean, this trade with an owner is still pretty nice. You kill their owner, you gain 2 life, that's still fine, but generally you do just want to build around this sort of effect. And then Tone of Repetition. This is something I've been trying to get to work with a Horde Plunderer. Never quite got there quite yet. Trying to figure out what the optimal sort of faction combination is. I've been trying Justice Time and Primal just to start off with, because then I get some of the more busted weapons like the Sword of Unity. But not sure if I'd like to play perhaps Shadow, because then you get some other sort of like more recursive ones, because you do get the spellcraft weapon that gives you a dark return. I think that's pretty powerful. But otherwise, I think that the plan with Tome of Repetition is to play it. Play it when you've got Hard Plunger in play, just like those two powers in the play, just to really ramp you up. I mean, you don't really need the power at that point, to be honest, but when you've got activated abilities in your deck, like you're playing the 2-drop that lets you pay 5 to make a copy of them and all the weapons that are on it, you're just able to really go off, just get all the power out of your deck, just go really big, and then if anything does happen to your Hard Plunderer, then it doesn't matter, because you can still just pay for the spellcraft. The more exciting to me is the next card, Gravewatch Guardian. So now this is a card that I think would be really nice in a deck like Callous, or a deck that's playing something like Reforged Ancestors, what it's called, just keep putting Callous into play. Because if you sacrifice a load of your little nerds, like your goat tokens and your Grendins, and you play this, you've got like a huge Callous, because you just sacrifice a bunch of stuff, and then you play this after it, you've just got like a huge blocker. And this has got Overwhelm. And let me tell you about a friend of mine called Copper Conduit. That used to be a Power Surge time card with Overwhelm, and you could one-shot your opponent because you played that, then played a power, and played a Praise. I guess now we'll just play whatever gives it killer. Just kill your opponent's unit, and then they just die out of nowhere because you're just able to do this sort of turn. I think that Gravewatch Guardian has got pretty much a similar effect. It's more expensive, and like the tribute, you really do need to be going for here. You need cheap tribute or free tribute, realistically, or just like a massive tribute so you can place on 8 as just a massive threat. But I think this is powerful. Generally don't want to place in like some sort of reanimate deck, maybe, where you just like discard 1 card, make a 6/6. That's not very exciting. But when you're just able to make this into like the infinitely big sizes, and then, I don't know, Dark Return killer it, that is where it gets very exciting, because this is just like, this is a fireball waiting to happen. Face Aegis ain't protecting you from this. This Sea of Teeth could have been potentially very dangerous. Like, I know people have had enough of Praxis tokens, but if this final line of text, this kill all attachments, was just like kill all attachments your opponent's control, this would be absolutely absurd, because you can just imagine the board state where you've just got like some Xenon obelisks, and then it goes like, well, I'll kill all of your attachments, and I've got some 5/5 killers, I'm going to wipe up your board and keep some 5/5 insects. That would just be absolutely busted, especially because we've got access to markets where you'd only really need one of these in the market when we don't need the main deck, but it'd just be an absolutely potent effect that would be game ended. But what does it do? Sea of Teeth plays 5/1/1 raised to Arahas with killer, and just the 5/1/1s with killer is like whatever. It's the kill all attachments that's sort of more exciting here. Is this better than Passage of Aeons? Probably not. I do like that Passage of Aeons now just silences all your opponent's units and kills all attachment. I do like that. Sea of Teeth could be good against maybe the same sort of effect, but against like an army deck where you just want to have like a pile of units in play as well, just to make their subsequent weapons do nothing. But for the most part, I'm not sure what this is going to do, although I can see cases where like you know, I've got some way of making the Sea of Teeth do something. So maybe if you're not leaning on Obelisk and you lean on something like Arcane and Monitor, you know, that'd be quite powerful. But for now, I'm not sure where exactly this stands, although I can see you ramping up into it, maybe, and then using it to just demolish your aggro opponent. Next, we've got an interesting card, and this is Unwavering Exorcist. And it says, you are immune to damage from night. So why I want to play this is, I want to play this in a Nightfall deck, not as my technology against Nightfall, but my technology in the Nightfall deck. I'm not sure if there's like a JPS Nightfall deck that you can play, or if there's really that many like Justice cards with Nightfall at all, but that's like a really interesting sort of technology. I mean, it's aggressive because it's a 3/2 for 2, so it's attacking your opponent. And if you're not taking damage from Nightfall, like, whatever. But summon kill an enemy curse is kind of nice. Maybe this makes this a nice... Maybe this makes this like a nice market card, where you're just able to grab it, and it's got 2 factors. So if you're playing against a Nightfall deck that is trying to kill you with Maul, you're just like, oh, well, get me Unwavering Exorcist, deal with it. And if you're playing against a deck that is trying to curse you with stuff like Permafrost or Nyctophobia, I mean, admittedly, Nyctophobia is not very exciting when you've got this in play because it's no longer doing anything, but you get to kill the enemy curse. So I think this is actually just quite a nice utility card. Whether or not it sees much play, probably depends what's going on in the metagame. If there's like a curse deck, so if like the unseen curse thing happens, maybe it's good. But for the most part, I like that this kind of card exists because it just gives you sort of a modal card in your board that, you know, mode 1, beat your opponent up for 3 damage every turn. Mode 2, immune to night damage. Mode 3, summon, kill an enemy curse. Just like the modality of this card. And I think for the cost of 2 and 1 influence, that's really easy. This could easily be like double justice and being a 3/3, but just I've had enough of 2 cost 3/3s. 3/2 is the way forward. I approve of this card. So Zolt's Convoy, I first saw this and I thought, 2/2/2s, like, oh man, I wish this was fast speed. Then I thought about it and I thought, imagine if you're trying to play an aggressive fire deck and this was a fast spell. How do you ever win? You're just like, oh, get in there with my Champions of Fury or whatever. And then your opponent goes, Zolt's Convoy, just like, kill your board. It's like, nothing you can do about it because they've got Aegis. And you can't permafrost them because they've got Endurance and Aegis, so you're never dealing with them. And they're just going to kill 2 units. So yeah, I'm glad this is a slow spell. This is where I like it to be. Also, the 2/2/2s, like, you look at 4 costing like Justice, and they've got so many things going on. You've got things like Marley. If you're deeper in other factions, you've got things like Crownwich Trail, which is a really good card, but also Battle Skycrack, which this probably will do as well. But it's more of a different synergy. It's giving you multiple units, so yeah, you know, it's less value than what you could get for 4. Like in Combray, you can get the 4/4 with Aegis, the I don't know, Copper Hall, whatever, some sort of Minotaur nerd we don't need to worry about. But this then synergizes with something else that Combray sometimes likes to do, and that is play Zin Obelisk. Also, this is a spell. Sometimes there's moment decks that play Justice, and it isn't all just like the primal splash. Sometimes it is the Justice splash, and they get to play Alessi as well. So I do like this card. I think it's got a lot going for it. I'm glad that, you know, at certain different drops now, we've got competition, we've got different things. It's not like in time where it's just like, well, I'm going to play 4-drop. Guess what that's going to be? It's going to be Sandstorm Titan, unless I'm behooved to play something else. This is like Injustice. Now you've got options. You're just like, going to play 4-drop. What am I going to play? YouTube notifications. Hoping they didn't hear that, because that was nearly deafening for me. I'll turn my headphones down a little bit. I like options, and that's what I like, just modality. Also, just multiple bodies with Aegis and Endurance against cards like Temporal is probably fine. It doesn't matter that they're not very big. It's that each one of them needs to be either swept in, needs like 2 Hailstorms or like 4 removal spells to deal with them. Just like, very nice. It's countered by Vara, yes, but it's still good. We've had enough of Wanted Poster. Don't want more Wanted Posters. This card's probably fine as one-off in a couple of decks. It's a fast spell, so in like maybe a really big like sort of Argent deck that I used to like ages and ages ago, we used to call it like Old Man Argent. It was just going to win the game with like 4 Sword of the Sky Kings, and it played nonsense like Sleepless Night. Instead, now you get to play this Dead or Alive, which is, it's like a one of these fetch for all with your merchant. But then you're playing the bad merchant. I prefer to play Shadow though, so it's going to always trade. But play like a 1 or 2 of this in like a really big Justice control deck where you don't have access to Primal for card draw. This is potentially very good. Like, you do take a hit, like, sure, but maybe even in something like Temporal where you just like, you take the hit, it's fine. My life total is a resource. I've taken 10, but now I'm going to put like 4 Wanted Posters on your team. I'm going to go on my turn. I'm going to Harsh Rule, and I'm going to just draw 4. I'm going to draw 8 cards. Oh, I'm going to overdraw, and then I'm going to take over the game because you ain't coming back from that. Yeah, I think they're Dead or Alive. I'm glad this costs 5. I'm also glad it's a fast spell because it wouldn't work otherwise. But yeah, just when we got bored of Wanted Poster. But I don't think it's going to be like very, very playable. This is going to be like a very niche, like one-off. And fortunately, it is a single faction spell. It's Justice, so you don't really want to play a Justice Merchant in the deck that plays this, I think. You're much more likely to want to play like a Ixtal Merchant or like the Justice Merchant or something like that. Maybe even Aurelian if you're playing like a really big like Justice time deck that just wants to wipe the board and then kill your opponent with some big nonsense later on. And then now we've got the fan-made card from the custom card Reddit, Tillet Queen's Hand. Honestly, when I first saw this, because when this was first spoiled, it wasn't on the screen for like the full amount of time. It was like accidentally spoiled, it was taken off, and then it brought back later. Did actually catch a screen grab of it somewhere, I think it was in Discord. I was just like, this can't be a real card. Look at this text. This is absolutely nonsense. This is like someone's just gone, oh, I'm going to design a card, see what people think of it on the internet. But no, it's actually a real card, and it's also surprisingly very good. I did play a video with this like recently. Boy, am I impressed. Actually, I played against this. This was in 2 videos I made because I played against it with Nostrix part, and I was playing against the Argent part, and they were absolutely destroying me because every turn they'd attack, and all of my units would get -1 power, which meant that I could just never attack past their team. I was just like, I'm just going to slowly die to this. Fortunately, we just got like the harsh rule and managed to just rebuild from there, but it was touch and go. So what does Tillet do? Tillet, when you attack with the enemy player with 1 unit, I believe this also counts killer, which makes it very exciting. You play a +3/+3 weapon on it, so basically the gem blade that we used to get from like the monument. You play 2 justice sigils from your deck, depleted, and enemy units get -1 power. So this does a lot of work in like Combre, because this has got a great synergy with Martial Iron Farm, and it's also got great synergy with Mystic Ascendant because you're putting power into play. You do need to be mindful in those decks at that point though, that you need to be careful with your power base. So I probably wouldn't recommend playing this with like a load of like lingering influences, because you do really want to have Justice Sigils in your deck, so you probably want to play Seek Power instead at that point. But it's just like a really good package. It's basically got a sort of a pseudo charge in that you play 6, survives. You play this, you attack with your 6 is now bigger, your opponent's stuff smaller, and you get like a bit of value off it. But then you've got this back to block as well, and your opponent's next attacks that you're going to be blocking against are going to be worse. So I really like this against cards like tokens that can't deal with it. If this gets annihilated, it's too late, because you get to play this, you attack with your unit, and then it's too late. If this gets annihilated, the effect's already happened, it doesn't matter. I think that Tillet is really powerful. I think it costing 7 means that you're probably not going to play this with Island, which is very sad, because I'd like to play like a big hero deck that was playing like Draka Queen's Guard, it's playing Tillet Queen's Hand, it's playing Island, Clan Mother, and just getting there. But I think also this card, you want to play it with other removal targets. You want to play it in a deck that is playing things that your opponent needs to kill, so that this can stick around, because by the time you get to 7, you want to play this. Admittedly, one of the effects, like the effect of going from 7 to 9, in terms of power, is mostly minuscule, but maybe you can play this in a big hero deck that's just playing like a bunch of flyers, and your flyer just gets bigger. Can't play it with Hero Pacifier, interestingly. That's probably miserable, isn't it? Maybe not then. But maybe like a really big Ricano deck. Probably want to play Carry. The Carry's going to rotate soon, doesn't matter. Like 3 months' time, maybe. Oh no, I hope it's not when set 5 finishes that it's rotating. I hope it's when set 5 comes. That'd be excellent. But yeah, this card actually really impressed me, despite me being just so off it when I first saw it. Just being like, this is just the most ridiculous custom card. But yeah, let's go to the next page. I'm going to check for a spoil actually. Okay, so here we are for the second page of spoilers. You may see my big greasy mug covering one of them up, but that is a spoiler card. So if you don't want to know about that, then it's fine, because I'm going to do that card last. It's going to be awkward when I zoom into cards, isn't it? Should be a way where you can actually just like say not this card. But yeah, I suppose we're just going to have to deal with it. I think you can pretty much see what all these do anyway if you're watching on a big screen. So we do first off have the Messenger Hawk. This is our first primal card, and one that I'm pretty excited for. I did play this in Nostrix Porter, and I think Yotabite made Masters on the day this campaign dropped. It might have been the day after, just so we had this card. By playing a deck that was Nostrix in this. I still prefer to Nostrix Cliffside Porter, just because it's got Echo, and you draw 2, so it's sort of better a lot of the time to sort of strategize it away and then grab it later. But Messenger Hawk is a card that has actually impressed me in a couple of different decks. So I played it in Clockroaches. Obviously, I was giving this a load of random battle skills that were irrelevant, but I was also just putting more Clockroaches in my deck and just messing around with Lumen and Claver. But sometimes, just like to play with food, as soon as I get into Masters, I'm just like, well, I get top 100, but I do it for like a week, and then I'm like, I'm bored of this, I want to play ridiculous cards. Like a new campaign's come out. It's mean that like we have to be in top 100 this month to get in the World's Invite. I'm probably just never going to do it, to be honest, because I prefer making content. But Messenger Hawk. So what is it? It's a 1-cost 0/1 flyer. But obviously very playable at that point. With summon, choose a card in your hand, create 4 copies of it, and put them in your deck. Just put them in random places, but when you're playing tutors, don't matter. You know, so you're playing this with Cromwich Press Gang, which tutors up any 1-drop that's in your deck. Just doesn't matter because you're just going to get them. So you can put 4 copies of Card of Destiny in your deck, but to do that, you have to have been either Reign of Frogged to obviously target that, or a Destiny unit will have had to have been bounced to your hand, which is just very unlikely to happen. So I'm sorry if that dream's dead. It has to be things that's in your hand, and it has to be like a legitimate thing. This is, however, nice to target revenge things with. So if you want to target Macto with this and just have like, you know, a never-ending stream of Mactos eventually, because you're just going to draw them all and play them all, it's going to be playing some sort of like weirdo Echo Macto. It's a bit pie in the sky. But yeah, just stick to the fun stuff with this. Make more copies of Cliffside Porter that are 5, 6s and 10, 11s, and make more copies of Clown Roaches. That deck is Clown Roaches, let me tell you, of Clock Roaches, and just give your opponent business. Because I was playing against Temporal with this, and they thought they were going to grind me out as the Nostrix Porter deck. Well, let me tell you, friend, not today, because I'm never going to run out of these Porters. I just shuffled, I had a Messenger Hawk in the main, Messenger Hawk in the board, and I managed to copy my 10, 11 Porters for the entire game. After I got off my combo, I just played 1 10 11 a turn, and my opponent had to answer it every single turn, and then they ran out of cards and they died, and I was really happy. Just hate Temporal as a deck count, so that card gets deleted from the card file, never to be seen again. But next up, we've got the Trumpeting Warhowler, and this, I am glad this has got the safety mechanism of Reckless on it, because if this didn't have Reckless, imagine how tedious it'd be playing against this. You're just like, oh, just never kill it. Like in combat, have to actually just have a removal spell. So Trumpet Wall Howler is a 3/3 for free with Reckless, which is, you know, reasonable stats. Does it have a good ability? Yes, it does. It's got Inspire. Units you draw get killer. So where do you want to play this? I would like to play it in a Legion Dinosaur deck, because I get to play it with Evelina, which you play Evelina first. This is then a 4/4, which makes it a lot more survivable. There are ways you can stop this from attacking. You can't permafrost your own unit, but you can do other things. You can bond it, and you can give this killer through other means so that it attacks something that can actually kill. You get to keep it in play. So this is also good with cards like Dark Return and Nightfall, because Nightfall means you draw more cards, so you're going to draw more things with Killer. I think what you want to do with this card is you want to have cheap interactions like Permafrost to permafrost your opponent's big threats, so you're able to keep getting through, but you also want to play cards like Dark Return, so you're able to Dark Return other threats and use them to be able to clear the way. And I think that if you're able to give like 2 things Killer, you're just going to destroy your opponent, to be honest. And at that point, it's very unlikely that this is ever going to get dealt with, like in terms of combat, because you're just going to be like, well, my Rindra has got Killer. It's going to kill your thing. I'm going to gain 5 and get overwhelmed a little bit. Just like, oh, yes. So I think this is really well balanced. Glad it's got Reckless. Just needs it, to be honest. So next up is Potion Drake, and this is a card you can scream. So you can play this in Haunted Scream if you want, and just have a 2-cost pseudo removal spell that will wallop your opponent for 4. This is another dragon, which means it works well with card from Dead Reckoning, which is like the Oni Dragonsmith or something, which means that you can play this on turn 3, which is very exciting because this transforms units with cost 3 or less into a 2-1 go. So you may sort of think that it's not actually a removal spell, but some decks would just play Polymorph just to deal with things like Tavrod. This can't hit Tavrod, you know, it only hits things with cost 3 or less, but if you would play Polymorph, why would you not pay 1 more to get a 4/3? You know, it seems like fine stats. It's a flying body. You know, you can use this to, if they've got like a huge Alessi or Awakened Student, or there's something you can't deal with. You know, they're playing with Seraph and they're at 7 power, and you're like, oh, when they get to 8 power, probably dead because they're going to start spinning the Seraph through like and grind me out. It's like, nope, that's a 2/1 now. I've also done this to like if I'm playing like a Flyers deck, which I'm playing like a sort of a Skycrack Flyers theme deck. It was quite interesting actually. This most likely target for this to transform was actually Valkyrie Enforcer, because it meant there was nothing in the air to block that was actually a reasonable size. And yeah, it's actually quite a good technology. I've tried playing this alongside Vara, because then nothing's got Aegis, so then you actually get to play this. Another thing this can actually do is pop Aegis. When you play with Vara, you don't need to, but Vara means that this then gets to transform pretty much anything you want, as long as it costs 3 or less. Overall, it's a good card. I'm enjoying so far that these cards seem much more mature and nuanced, and it seems like there's a space to explore with them. And it's not just like, here's Tavrod and his mate, and you can go and build a deck. This is like, you can buy this expansion and you can build any number of decks around these cards as build-arounds. That's what I like, you know, just more stuff that does things. You know, I'm not very articulate when it comes to explaining myself there. So I'll move on to the next card, which is Maul, which also isn't a very articulate card. It's just 12U. So Maul, when I first saw this, I was like, it costs 6. Why does it cost 6? It's going to get Island's Choiced. But what this actually is, this isn't for killing Temporal. Like, you're never going to resolve this against Temporal. If you do, like, congratulations, you've done it. This is when you're playing your Nightfall deck, and you're playing against a Time deck, or just anyone else who's able to, Justice deck, I say. Any other deck that's able to just, like, stabilize. And you're sat there with, like, your piddly little Nightfallers, which, like, you're 3/3 for 3. And you're 5/5 for 4, and they're sat there with like Sandstorm Titans and Willbearer Behemoths, so you're just like, oh, I'm literally never going to make damage for the rest of the game. Just like try and one them with a Nightfall. No, now you just draw this and you just go 12U, 14U, like dead U. Just like, this is just really nice at turning those matchups. So there's been a deck as well that's been playing like 4 of this, which I think is quite aggressive. I like one of these in the market just to go fetch it against those time decks. But I do actually respect this being like a 4 of in the deck, because if you're playing like a Nightfall deck, which is where you don't want to play, is because you want your opponents to just have like a handful of cards same as you, but you want them also not to be able to deploy them all, so you need it to like be over a very short period of time, and you just need to slam this on turn 6 and just kill them. I think it's probably fine because you will just hit your power drops. When you're drawing 2 cards a turn, doesn't matter if you've got like 25 power in your deck, like drawing 2 a turn means that you will hit power and you will play this on curve a lot of the time. So not really much else to say about Maul. It is just exactly what it says in the tin. It is a Maul. It is a blunt instrument you're just going to wallop your opponent in the head with. So next up, Last Chance. And I'm very saddened by this card because Makto, outside of the island, is my favourite character, even though I found out in the last expansion that they were a bad guy because I didn't know they were. I was just like completely oblivious. I was just like, yeah, Makto's a Valkyrie. Valkyries are the good guys, right? No, Valkyries are the cops, they're the bad guys. I was just like, oops. But yeah, I just like Makto's voice lines, just like, yeah, run, coward, and all this sort of nonsense. Yeah. So, Last Chance, story science aside, is just a really good card because you can play some Tele combo. Now your combo consists of just like 8 power. Just play Tele, play Last Chance, get whatever time unit back, and just start going off. Whether that's good or not, whether that's good for the game or not is another story. Probably isn't, because we don't want the games to take forever. We don't want to be having things like Tele combo just taking up half an hour while they go off on your turn, and Temporal just takes forever, which is just miserable. But I do like that this is perhaps more balanced, and maybe this is coming back to the thing that people were saying. Some of these cards are like cards that are going to replace things in set 1. And Last Chance feels like a fixed version of Dark Return, because if you've been sick and tired of your opponent just like Dark Return in the same Auric, like Interrogator, like 4 turns in a row, you're just like, oh, kill it. They're just like, cool, play it, draw a card, kill it, play it, draw a card. Just like, this guy, you know. It's like, no, Voidbound's cool. Also, Voidbound works interestingly with Lunar Reclaimer in that Lunar Reclaimer won't shuffle those cards back. So if you Last Chance something that's bad, you won't draw it later, which is great. Sadly, you can't Last Chance all of those Seek powers. So you'll be drawing them again with Lunar Reclaimer. But good card, you know. Don't want to play it in Screen. Unless it's like copy 5 and 6 of Dark Return, you're just like absolutely desperate just to really get your opponent with that flying charge unit. But Last Chance, I like it. It's balanced. It's nice. Doesn't give anything +1. Doesn't do anything nonsense like that. It's just a nice, honest card. And then next up, we've got Shakedown, which for players who played other card games like Magic the Gathering will recognise this as being a card like Inquisition and Kozilek, but it's got a bit of a safety net in it because it's got Nightfall, which means that hopefully when you play against like a derpy control deck that's just like a Justice, Shadow, Fire, whatever, you know, those sort of like Macto we carry sort of piles, they probably won't be able to play this. You do really want to be playing this when you're like in a more aggressive mid-range deck, or just like an actual aggressive deck. So you want to play this, take your opponent's like one thing that's a nuisance, and then play your like Argent Parties to get the next turn. So what's worth noting with this is that would you play a discard spell that said discard one of your, just like transmute one of your opponent's cards in their hand into a random card, you draw a card? Would you play it? Yes, because you just go like, well, I'll snap off that Hailstorm, you can draw, like, I don't know, whatever else, it doesn't matter. You can draw an Island's Favour, who cares? So, Shakedown, I think it's good. Nightfall, it's got a lot of play to this because of the Nightfall. There's going to be situations where you're just not going to play it because you don't want to, you know, let your opponent draw an additional card. There's going to be situations where you're going to play it if your opponent's got an empty hand and so do you, just because you want to just get into your deck and you're just like, my top deck's better than yours. I'm convinced of it. I'm going to draw a Tavrod and you're going to draw like Oni Ronin, you know, all that sort of business. Worth noting as well, Shakedown kills Iron, Scorpion Wasp and Desert Marshal and your opponent isn't able to respond. So you can play this before combat, you get to take the unit because Ambush is not as fast as or spells in general, so there's no like response window for your opponent. So you can get rid of like some element of your opponent's like unit-based combat tricks or removal spells like Iron. So if you're playing this in a deck that's trying to attack and you just don't want to get ironed, you just like do this first. Just like, I'll take your iron and I'll attack you. You'll take an additional damage as well because Nightfall, and that's what I'm in the game for. Next up, I guess, is Vara Vengeance Seeker. As good as advertised? Yes. I am 100% very happy that she has the text, nothing can have an Aegis. And the reason for that is that it means that you don't play it in Feln, because you play some Feln, all your really good threats that have all got Aegis, because you've got like the Primal Merchant, you've got Jotun Feast Caller, you've got Champion of Cunning. Those are a lot less exciting when they've not got Aegis. So I like that as like a built-in balance factor, but also the no Aegis means you get to play this in a deck that wants to 1-for-1. You get to play this in a deck that's playing things like Torch and Annihilate and Slay and all this sort of stuff, and you're just not going to get beaten up by some sort of stand-together nonsense. You're just going to trade with everything, and your top decks will be better because you've got cards like Vara in your deck that are just generally going to be better than what your opponent's doing. And also, what Vara does is kills Shelterwing Rider. I'm absolutely sick to death of Shelterwing Rider. Just as like this 5/5, you're just like, torch it, and then your opponent's just sat there from 0-5, which you never get through for the rest of your life. Vara just kills it. You know, it's just like, it's not got Aegis anymore. You may as well sacrifice it, because otherwise I'll just have a 5/6. Vara's good. Vara's good in Scream. She's good when you can give her Berserk as well. If you can like Hornet Scream and then give her a the 1-cost Berserk spell, very good, because you're going to gain a bunch of life. This is just more effects like Rindra, where you've got sort of like a combo-y deck, and against decks that are trying to beat you up, you just get to gain like huge chunks of life out of nowhere, so just never winning the race. You're just like, oh cool, well I'm going to play Vara, are you going to sacrifice a thing? Because I'm going to sacrifice this in the turn for Hornet Scream. And just go, nope. It's like, cool, I'm going to gain 10, because I'm going to have a 5/6, I'm going to give it Berserk, I'm going to wallop you. And your opponent's not winning that race. And then when you dark turn it, she's going to keep Berserk, Flying Charge, and just going to kill your opponent on the spot. I also think that this is something that's going to push tokens away as well, because if you get to play this in a deck that's also playing Iron, like, or Unseen Commando, how is your tokens opponent ever going to win? Because it's just like, playing against those cards was a nuisance as it is. Admittedly, she has to ultimate for Unseen Commando to give her the +1/+1 when she attacks, but just having these sort of like big lifesteal bodies back just really makes like the attacking, it's really awkward. Like if you ever played Magic the Gathering and you've played like a weenie deck against a card called Battleskull, which is effectively a 4/4 lifesteal with endurance for 5 that they can pay free to return it to the hand, so you can just never really kill it. Trying to beat down past lifesteal just really makes combat math really difficult, especially when you're playing against an opponent that's got like fast speed removal that is going to 1-for-1 you, because, you know, it just doesn't work anymore. So that stand together that you thought were really clever to splash for is just giving your team like an anthem. Admittedly, the anthem's still good, but you know, it's not as good as it could have been. So there's not too much to say about Vara. She's not good in Feln, which is what I'm very happy with. Maybe in a Feln beatdown deck that's playing her alongside Ranger, of course, or Party Scream, really good, but not in the sort of Feln control deck, which I'm glad with. Also, I like cards that punish people for not playing units. Sadly, this also happens when you've like stumbled on your draw and you're just like, oh rats, I've not got a free drop. You know, the Vara's going to turn up. It's just going to be a 5/6 I can never kill. But it also just means you play more Annihilates. If you're playing about games like this, the easy answer to this is either say no to sacrifice. You've got a 5/6, I'm going to vanquish it on my turn, or it's just like whatever, I'm going to annihilate it. Then next up we've got Eramot the Gathering Dark, and this is not the temporal answer that you were looking for. So when Emerald hits the enemy player, they discard cards from their deck until they discard a unit. And this unit has charge while there are no enemy units. It's a 6-cost 3/6. It's like, sure, fine. I think if you play this against Temporal as like your technology card, it's just going to get wasped and then you're going to be sad. Or it's just going to get like Desert Marshal to just let it hit him because they're just like embarrassed for you. I like the Nightmare theme of like milling your opponent. Well, it's more like a Radiant sub-theme as well. I like milling your opponent, that's cool. It's flying, so in some matchups it will just hit your opponent. Also, it's like a 3/6 body sort of good, but if you think this is like your saviour for fighting against Temporal, it's just not. I'm sorry. Not much more to say for it. But it's got promise as being like a bit of a mill card, playing it with Solitude, but probably not much because you need to be playing like a lot of units to just really stress your opponent's removal to the point where they just don't have anything left by the time Emerald turns up. Also, against like a lot of decks, it's going to mill for like 2 and they're just going to like not care. It's like, oh, okay. And Temporal actually plays like quite a lot of units. It plays Desert Marshal, it plays Wasp, and it plays a Merchant, so it's just got a lot of units. So just don't do anything. Next up, Enemy of My Enemy. So this card is a Shapai Shimmy Ball, and I'll probably be playing a deck with this, maybe next weekend or something. This is an 8-cost, I'm not sure what we'd call this faction combination, but yeah, it's just Fire, Justice Primal, so basically just like the Primal Icaria colours. And it's create and draw a random Warrior, Paladin and Dragon. Very likely that only one of those cards is going to be good, and it's going to be the Dragon. Potentially the Paladin is going to be good as well, but for the most part this is going to be 8-cost draw free. Much like Channel Tempest, so this as a replacement, that's fine, because it's going to eventually deal damage because it's going to affect the board. But it's got some more text, and it is Enemy of My Enemy costs 4 less if you have a Caleb, and 4 less if you have an Island. So this can cost 0 if you're playing a deck that has both Island and Caleb in play. But for the most part, it's probably just going to cost 4. You know, you're going to play like Caleb or Island. You can do some cute stuff with this and the original set 1 island, which is Island something of the Wilds. Don't know. But basically when you play a primal spell, play another spell from your deck for free. So this having the potential to be free in that deck is quite good because it gives you like a bit of a combo potential. I do like this as like a draw free for 4. You are drawing 3 random cards, but to be honest, if you were drawing 3 cards, you were drawing 3 random cards anyway. They're just ones that were from a select pool. This is awesome from a select pool. You don't have much control over it though. So your warriors are likely going to suck. That's going to be like your cheaper stuff. I think the best warrior you can get is potentially Champion of Fury. Best paladin is going to be Sigvard because he's a big boy, just a big lifesteal boy. And dragons can draw literally anything that is spicy. Curiox, Nyx Atraxian, anything. If you draw Nyx Atraxian, you get to draw a 4th card, so you are going off. But not so much more to say about Enemy of Enemy. Is it good? Don't care. Just going to play it anyway because it's fun. You know, this is the sort of things that I like. Knucklebones as a win condition, so I'd play this and that. Hitting this with Knucklebones as well would be perfect because like you just get to draw more random cards. But next up, we've got Sealed Writ, and this is another power that transmutes. I like transmute as an ability because it means that you get to play more power. And if not, if you want to play like a more powered light deck, you get to play more power that prevents you from flooding. Admittedly, Transmute 7 isn't really preventing you from flooding, but it gets to turn into... Can I show this? Yeah, I can show this. It gets obscured a little bit by my spoiler proof, but I can look at it big. Yeah, okay. So I can look at it big. I can actually move this, so you still can't see the thing. There we go. So this is sealed writ and has transmute 7 and gives you a word of soul. So word of soul, let's click back on this monitor, is deal 4 damage and it has double damage while you have no other cards in hand. So this is the most epic top deck because it's going to kill your opponent. So it's going to 8 them or just like 8 the blocker. Do you want to play this in like a burn deck? Maybe. If you're not too stuck on like faction influence, maybe you do, because then you never draw an 8th power with this. You just draw this instead. It turns into a burn spell. I'm not really sure where to go with this. Can't put it in the market because it's factionless. But I believe you can put it in the market, but you can't get it. So that's good. Honestly, don't know. This is just a very weird card. Someone's going to 8 me with this, and I'm going to die, and I'm going to be very, very sad. But other than that, I suppose it's time to go onto the spoiler card. Let's just make sure I've got that covered up. Okay, so spoiler alert, spoiler is about to happen. So if you've not bought the campaign yet, go and buy it because it's worth it. And if you have, I will remove this silly picture of me and we can actually get looking at the card. So this is the final card that you unlock with actually a pretty fun battle. I went into it woefully unprepared, didn't realise how actually powerful you were going to be in that game, so just played it, got like a turn 1 kill with last word. Oh yes, chef kiss. So as I revealed, I like this card a lot. So it is a 7/7 for 8 with a lot of text. I mean, this could be another like custom card just created by some like random person on the custom card Reddit, but no, it's not. And it has, as revealed, when one of your units hits the enemy player, draw the top card of their deck and reduce its cost by 2. Summon, play 2 1/1 like wisps with deadly and unblockable. So you get to play this. Next turn, you've got 2 deadly unblockable units that will be able to get the card draws going. And they're also really good at being defensive, so it means that your opponent isn't able to race you back at that point if you do have to like ace base, get involved with your team just to draw like a million cards. What's working on with this is that if you have multiples of these in play, they all trigger. So I had a game against an opponent, I think I was playing like maybe Kennedins, and I made 2 of these and then attacked them with a load of Grandins and I nearly decked them, which was very delicious indeed. Is it good? Yeah. Play it. But mostly, this is giving like time decks another big top end. It rewards you for playing stuff to the board because you get the most value with this if you've got things in play. So it lets you turn all of those like merchants and sandstorm titans and just like humbug swarms, if you want to go really deep, into actual cards. And your opponent's cards are going to be good as well because they're playing on the ladder and they want to win games. So their cards are good, so it's not like drawing random cards like I do with Knucklebones, it's actually good ones. They all cost 2 less. Most good spells cost not very much power anyway, so you get to draw like 0 cost annihilates, you know, just free cost harsh rules, that sort of stuff. Harsh rules probably not very impressive on this board because you've got an Azadale in play, but you can go for like the Hail Mary and just draw a bunch of cards, Hailstorm, just rebuild next turn, it's fine. I like what Azadale does in the Wisps and Radiance deck. I was playing that a little bit and that was actually really impressive. It was actually quite good. I feel like this is perhaps like another one of the missing pieces that we need because it didn't look like a Haymaker really. World Joiner was not the Haymaker for Wisps, I'll be honest with you, but Azadale could be. And Azadale is also really good in like a big Xenon deck. You can play this in Mask because when one of your enemy units, when one of your units hits the enemy player, I believe that also counts Spitelings, which is nice. So that's a little bit spicy. Your opponent kills when you hit Spitelings, you know, still get to get the card draw. Not too sure, but it's worth checking out. But I do like this. I like expensive, big, fat win conditions for when I'm playing my Mass deck, and this is one of them. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That is all 23 cards from the campaign. There was only one real big surprise card, which is the last one. It wasn't like the last one where there was Dead Reckoning, the card, and In Cold Blood, which were both surprises. But overall, I was really low on this campaign when I first looked at it, but after having a chance to play with these cards, I'm a lot higher. I think there's only like 1 or 2 stinkers, and I think that's like a remark just because it's not even fun. Like enemy probably not very good, but it's still fun. So we've got Emerald as a stinker, Sea of Teeth as like a potential stinker, and Dead or Alive is potentially quite busted if you're able to also go big with your life total. You can actually play this in like a mass deck, couldn't you? Yeah, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but yeah. I like this campaign, would recommend buying it rather than the playing with gold. Just because generally it's a lot of a grind to get that much gold. I believe you can do it in 10 days because you can get about 2.5k a day. I think I do that, I play my 9 games and my daily quest, and then I draft, well, rare draft every 2 days. So I think you can potentially do this in, you can play for 10 days and then get a campaign for free. But it is a bit of a grind, and then you have to play through the campaign as well. So generally, I just feel like I'd be really burned out. So if you can afford the $8 or whatever it is in your country, recommend it just to get the campaign cards as soon as possible. There's nothing in here like Chorus Trevor where you can just buy that campaign and then build a deck around it, but this is stuff that will make your existing decks better. I mean, I suppose you can build around stuff like Vara and just like a shadow sort of based beatdown deck. Because you can also play like Vara with Shakedown and Last Chance. You've got like 12 cards from a deck, so that's still quite impressive. But yes, I believe I'm actually going to do a bit of a review for all the campaigns. Now I've got Hindsight and Markets in place. So Jack's Bounty could actually look a little bit better. Now we've got a marketplace to be looking at. And yeah, so this is it from me from this video. Thanks for watching. I've been That Resolves, and I will see you around.